in our hardware. So we don't go with the complete hardware, every part of hardware and all. We don't discuss. We'll discuss about a basic system components, okay, and their functionality. What is a CPU? How it is look like? What is the RAM? How it is look like? What is the use of RAM, ROM, BIOS settings, SMPSs? Okay, so these things we will discuss first. And another very important one is boot process. So how your system load operating system. Okay, how operating system is loading into your system, your computer, that is called a boot processing. That's process we will discuss. Okay, and also we discuss few things in a troubleshooting manner. While I'm telling you about different components plus say additional troubleshooting things, the issues will occur at a boot time plus other issues like a BSOD, okay, some application related issues. What are the different other things like what is safe mode, system restorations, resetting of system, okay, few other we will discuss. So mainly it is about a troubleshooting. The first thing is about a different PC components. If you're looking at here, so this is, I'll better keep it in separate page. Okay. In generally, when you see a computer, a desktop, so then we call this box as a CPU. Actually, it is not CPU. It is called a cabinet or chassis. So this is a cabinet or chassis. What is this cabinet? Inside of this cabinet, we have a different components like CPU, motherboard, RAM, hard disk, SMPS. Okay, if you have a CD-ROM kind of stuff, CD-ROMs. And for this cabinet outside, there is a connections are there for connecting keyboard, mouse, printers, monitors, audio jackets, okay, networking connectors. So outer you will get in it, and power connectors, power buttons. That is all we are. Okay. So these are the inside of cabinet. So what are they? Like a CPU, central processing unit, which is also called as the processor. Random access memory, your RAM, main memory or physical memory, ROM on the motherboard. On motherboard, you have different components, which through the motherboard we can able to connect other components like a CPU will connect it to your motherboard directly. Okay, on motherboard, RAM is also on the motherboard, ROM is also in the motherboard, and hard disk or SSDs, CD-ROMs will connect it to your motherboard, and other outside connectors also connected to your motherboard from externally. Okay, so hard disk, SSDs, CD-ROM, SMPSs, floppy disks are inside your cabinets only. The floppy disks are removed so many years back already. Almost all more than 10, 15 years. 15 years back only it is removed. So 20 years back I used it. It means 15 years back definitely it is completely removed. Okay. When I was used, that's in my diploma, all my project is in my floppy disk. On diploma project, I stored in my floppy disk. Engineering project in CD. Okay. So 2008 itself, the floppy disk almost all gone from the market. Okay. Next is the CD DVDs also gone. Now most of the desktops and laptops not coming with any CD DVD kind of stuff. Because the more sophisticated storage like external hard disk, pen drives, so cloud storages, there are different ways you can store your data in a different other than your system. Okay, so that's why it is gone. Of course, there's still some CD DVDs are there. Okay, we can use it. And what are the outside of the cabinet? So if you have a system, then it is you have to operate like we need an input device like a keyboard. Keyboard is one of the primary input device. Mouse is a pointer device, the monitor where you can able to see the output. Okay. Printer. You have a printer, like if you want to connect a printer, what is the purpose of printer? You have a document in your system, so then you want it on the paper, so then it is like we can convert that soft copy into hard copy type. It is printer. Scanner. So you have some certificate in your hand, like your college certificate is there. It's a document. It's a hard copy, and you want to send to someone, then you have to scan it, and then the document will become to your PC as a soft copy. You can forward that through mail or other system, upload into different documents, right? Touchpads on the laptops, instead of mouse, we are using these touchpads, okay, for pointing purpose. Touch screens, of course. Again, the recent years, very recent years, the touchscreen laptops are gone. Still, there is a two-in-one laptops that is having convertible, like a tablet to laptop to tablet kind of stuff. That kind of stuff. It is we have a touchscreens. Some are there. Okay, what is this touchscreen kind of stuff? So we can give input, okay, to your system by instead of mouse and key, we can able to use this touch screen to open some application and working on it. Mhm. Next one is mic and speakers. Yeah, I'm talking. So my mic will receive my voice signal and convert into electrical signal and process it, and it will send to the. If you want to store in your system, you can store it, or you want to send what these themes it is sending to you, so then you can able to hear from your speaker. Card reader. No, you have a SD cards, camera cards, right? We have a now chip cards are there, SD cards, micro cards. You can store your data, pictures inside. If you want to read it, you can connect the card readers and you can able to read it. Bluetooth devices. You can connect Bluetooth devices like Bluetooth printers, Bluetooth headphones, Bluetooth mics. Okay, so that's Bluetooth wise. You can able to wirelessly can connect it to your system. Use external hard disk. What is this external hard disk? For example, I have a data. So last time what happened, I store all my operating system related applications, operating systems and applications data is there in my laptop for my practical purpose. But it is almost more than 10 GB. It is not 10 GB, it is around 30 GB space it is occupied, so cannot able to work on my system. I move my data into external hard disk. So you can safe keeping your either as a backup storage, or maybe you cannot store some data in our laptops because our laptop internal storage is lesser. So better I will want to store in external one. Okay. So that is external hard disk. So you can connect to a simple USB cable and store your data inside, or you can access the data from it. For example, I want to install a Linux machine, like some CentOS machine. In my laptop, I don't have that operating system image. So it is there in my hard disk. I will connect it, then I will install it. Joysticks and gaming controllers. So earlier we have some different type of joysticks are there. Now we have a regular hand, like a PS4 kind of joysticks also came for laptops and desktops. You can connect with USB and you can able to play the games inside. Okay, guys, these are the different components of a system. Got it?
Yes, sir.
The very first component we are going to discuss first, that is a CPU. If you look at it, this is a CPUs, guys. These are all different CPUs. This is on motherboard. The guy is inserting a CPU chip. This is in his hand is a CPU. Is going to insert onto this socket on the motherboard. Okay, it is a simple single chip kind of stuff on. Okay. So this i7, this is Xenon processor from Intel, Ryzen processor it is. Okay. So, the processor or a CPU is nothing but a brain of your computer. Without a CPU, it is not even a computer it is. Okay. So all your arithmetic and logical operations are happens inside your CPU only. Whenever you give an input and the instructions and data will be processed by your CPU and generate output from the CPU. Okay. There is a different manufacturers of CPUs are there. Intel, AMD are main competitors in the market. Okay. Intel produces different types of CPU names are there. AMD also different names it is about. Intel's type CPU support the different motherboards. That's Intel supported motherboards are different. AMD supported motherboards are different. Okay, so we cannot put cross kind of stuff. Yeah. Intel, like a most famous is currently it is i3, i5, i7 processors. The Xenon processors usually used in a server's motherboard. Even a server hardware itself having a CPU RAM kind of stuff. So this Xenon processor generally used for a server purpose, not for a regular desktop purposes. i3, i5, i7 are used for a desktop purposes. AMD Athlon processors are there. It's a dual core processor, and Ryzen processors are now it is in the market for a multi-core processor. Not only that, there is a lot of YI is also build a processors, Motorola kind of stuff. Even for your mobile phones, guys, the mobile phones also having a processors, right? When you purchase a new mobile phone, what you have to check it? First of all, what processor is inside. So when you want to buy, you go for a YouTube and check reviews from the YouTube, right? The guy will explain. So what is the processors are inside? It's a Snapdragon 7.2 or a Snapdragon 8.1, which processor it is. Okay, it's Samsung use its own processor called Xenos, Qualcomm, Snapdragon, MediaTek processors. Okay, you check this processor performance. Is a mobile for regular usage purpose or mobile gaming purpose? For mobile gaming purpose, again, gaming supported processor is there and not. Like that, we will verify, right? That's the same. And every processor having a certain specifications are there. When you want to buy a processor or maybe your system related application you want to install, you must know what kind of processor is required. Okay. So here it is, the processor speed is there. It is measured in the hertz, megahertz, gigahertz kind of stuff. For example, I have a processor CPU that is i5 10210U processor I am using in this laptop with 1.6 gigahertz processor. Base speed is 2.11 gigahertz. This is per core. This is total speed I am getting. Okay. Width, every processor either it is 32-bit or a 64-bit processor. Generally, all new processors are 64-bit processors only because the available operating system applications are mostly 64 nowadays. Earlier, it is always 32-bit. So almost all now from almost last 10 years, it is processor, everything is 64-bit only. Okay. So 32-bit processors are there, 64-bit processor. The processors The bit processor starts from 4-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit now. Okay. The current almost most of the processor available in market is 64-bit. Okay. What is FSB? Front side bus. Every processor having a speed BSB means actual processor speed, and FSB, which is the processor to RAM communication. The processor will take information from the RAM. Means instructions and data from the RAM and process it and give it to the RAM only. It means the RAM and processor are directly communicate each other. So to communicate, so there is a bus speed is there. The connectivity bus, that speed is called a FSB. So the processor FSB speed determines RAM model. Okay, so you purchase a processor and you check the processor specifications, then you know what type of RAM you have to use it. For example, in my laptop, I have a i5 10210U model is there. So I go to the Google and find out this is the Intel website. This because it's an Intel processor it is. Okay, see it is the details of processor, I can see it. You can see this is the processor model. What is the cache memory and speed, number of threads, and I'm searching for a RAM. Yeah, how much this processor supporting RAM is there. Maximum RAM support is 64. It means I can use one single 64 RAM or a 32 plus 32 maximum I can use it. And what type of RAM model I have to use it? What type of RAM model I have to use it? So it is determining that's processor based only I have to use RAM capacities. Cache memory. This cache memory helps your RAM to process faster. So this processor having a 6 MB cache memory. 6 MB cache memory. Okay. Higher the cache, the faster performance of processor is possible. Number of cores per processor, number of threads per processors also there. Number of cores. This processor is 4-core, 8-thread processor it is. Okay, I will show you that one. Number of cores are 4 and logical processors are 8. What is that meaning is? You have a single core processors are there earlier. Later, these processors, two processors are combined with a single shared cache. Earlier, single processor, single cache is there. Now, the shared cache with us two processors are there. That is called a dual core processors. So later what they have done, so they take one single core processor, divide into the two parts. Then it is called a core to geo, means single processor act like a two processors. The single processor act like a two processors with a separate cache memory. Means the multitasking is more efficient in this type of core technologies. Okay, so then they'll make it, it is like a quad-core processor. It means one processor is divided into 4 parts. Core 0, Core 1, Core 2, Core 3. Like this, one processor is divided into 4 parts called a quad-core processor. It is like a 4 cores. Okay, it's a single die. Okay, single processor, single core processor. It is dual core processor, two processors. Okay, and this is one single processor, but two cores are inside. Means it is divided into 2 parts. What is a threading? Threading means if you add, like you take this dual core and make it as a 4-core processor, it means each core uh, mm, act like a dual core. Okay. Advantage of dual core is speed. Advantage of multi-core means like a core to geo model or quad core model is multitasking. Now we can achieve both multitasking as well as speed of task processes. Okay. You know, earlier days we have a system that is always hangs. Always. We don't understand why system is hanging. Okay. So, but now this is a multi-course. It handles multiple tasks as well as the speed of task process is also improved. So that's why it is when you are purchasing a laptop or a desktop, check the processor and then see when you are purchasing a processor means, so what is the processor, what is the base speed, what is the RAM support, what is the cache inside, how many cores are there, how many threads are there. So check it. The higher it is better performance. It does not mean you should take a very higher with a very costly kind of stuff. Like I want to buy i7 Extreme or maybe i9 processor. Okay, these are all having a 8 cores, multi-threading, very good like a 12 MB or 24 MB cache memories. But the processor cost itself 1 lakh rupees. It's difficult to purchase and it is no useful for you because I'm doing some based on my work. The processor should be suitable. That's it. It does not mean I need more performance and you invest everything on the processor only. Think like this, the processor, the supporting motherboard, supporting RAMs, SSDs, and cabinets, the total overall cost is very high. And you utilize for only to watch YouTube videos or maybe C language or Python language. Okay, not more than that one. It's not useful, right? So based on your utilization, based on your requirements, your work, you have to choose a proper processor. Okay, and depend on remaining kind of stuff. So that is what processor it is. And nowadays, most of the processors comes with this Intel virtualization inside. The virtualization technology is enabled inside. So where is this VTX? Datasheet is changed, a little changed. That's a 64-bit processor. They removed this virtualization. They didn't remove this. Here it is. They should give this information. See, virtualization technology. So what is the advantage of giving this virtualization technology inside your processor? So you can create and run different types of virtual machines. So here it is. Yesterday I showed a OS ticket. That is, I build in the virtual machine only. These are all different virtual machines, guys. In this virtual machine, I installed Windows 10 with some applications useful like a database related application, ETL application, data analysis related application, Python, everything I installed in this machine instead of installing in my PC because my PC won't support my direct physical laptop may not support all type of applications, installations, configuration. So I separately install it. Plus, I can easily manage that one because I'm not always do the database related, right? Occasionally I will do it. So I will separate it. Okay. These three machines are to practice Ansible, okay, and some Tomcat related kind of stuff also. This is my DevOps, like a Git, Jenkins, Docker, those things is installed in this Linux operating system. It is Oracle Enterprise Linux 9. Okay, this is CentOS 7. This is, that is OS ticket. I took one CentOS machine, I install OS ticket application inside, and it has become OS ticket server. And this is a sub part of this OS. This Zabbix is a monitoring tool. It is Ubuntu operating system. It is. If someone is asked like I want to run Docker in the Ubuntu, I want to install Jenkins in Ubuntu, then I can able to show here. Okay, it is already installed and configured, so I can able to show that machine. That is, I use a Oracle VM VirtualBox to create these virtual machines. And how these virtual machines will work and run because of my processor, the virtualization is enabled inside my processor, the virtualization technology is supported. So then I can able to create and run 64-bit virtual machines inside. I have another application called VMware Workstation. This application is also useful to work with different virtual machines. Both are softwares. Both are used to create virtual machines in my machines. Okay, that is. It's open a little slower. The current version is 17. Okay. See these two machines. This is a Windows server and this is a Windows client machine. Okay. Server and client purpose. Like for a previous one batch, that is our CTS batch required. Okay. So how to configure a domain controller, user authentication concepts are there. So for that one, I created these two machines. This is Windows 2003 server, which we cannot install in the current type of machines. So I created as a thing. So I can work with the old as well as the new operating systems and applications. This is ESXi. This is WinDevOps, means, I need some small application like a Java-based application to build. So I need to run Eclipse with a different Tomcat setup. So then I built two applications. Okay, one is based on Marvin, another one is without Marvin. So I use this machine to try to build some small application for a DevOps practice. Okay, so like that. So I want to run different applications in different types of operating system for different purposes. I can able to build a virtual machine inside and install the required operating system and applications, and I work on it. Okay, everything I can't do it in my physical machine. Some applications, for example, Ansible application, I cannot install in my Windows 10. I have to install in the Linux only. Okay, so like that. So depends upon my requirement. I cannot put more system, right? For Linux, I have to buy one laptop. For Windows, I have to buy one laptop. Like that, I cannot do that one. So I have a good processor. i5 processor is there, 4-core 8-thread processor, 6 MB cache memory, and I have a 16 GB RAM. And my processor is supporting virtualization, means I can able to create a virtual machine with the help of Hyper-V or Oracle VirtualBox or a VMware Workstation. I can use those tools and create a virtual machines, run the virtual machine kind of stuff. Okay, so that is, now you have to check it. Use your processor is supporting virtualization technology or not. So almost all nowadays, every processor is supporting it. Okay, so these are the specifications you have to check on your processor, guys. How to check it? Simple. One way is go to the task manager, performance, CPU. So you can see your processor name and a model number, and you can take this model and Google it. From the Intel, you can get more details. And the base speeds, number of cores, logical processor, virtualization is enabled or not, and cache memory information. Okay. Guys, understand up to here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, so earlier I told about the processors are 32-bit or 64-bit. Okay. So what is this 32-bit processor? What is the 64-bit processor? We will go for a small details here. The points, small points are just try to understand. That is, instruction set means every processor has some built-in instructions plus you given instructions and data to process, right? You open a document, that document contains the data, and you are telling that is to the processor, read the content of the data and display on the screen, right? You want to run an application. The application is nothing but contains a code. It's a software. It contains a code inside that is will be executed by your processor. Okay. So how it is? It is give instruction. This is a code, code instruction and execute like that, right? That instruction set is 64-bit. 32-bit processor understand 32-bit size of instructions and data. 64-bit processor can understand 64-bit size of instructions and data. That is the one point. Another point is the 64-bit processor required higher RAM capacity. If required higher RAM capacity means we think it is disadvantage, but it is another way it is we can run complex and big application. Means you want to do certain tasks, we need some software. The software, the size of instruction is lesser, it means less complexity we can able to. So nowadays we are having a more complex applications, more task-driven applications are there. So what we had required, we need that type of, to run that complex applications. Bigger instructions applications are there. The instructional size of applications you want to run. So bigger application you want to run. So you need a higher capacity RAM. Okay, bigger the application and compulsory required more RAM capacity. The 32-bit processor don't support high RAM capacities. Maybe as I know, the last scene is 4 GB RAM. Max support is 8 GB as maybe if you are using some Vista kind of stuff or a Windows 7. Okay, the higher RAM capacity support is very less. To run bigger applications, we need higher RAM capacity. To allocate the memory in the higher RAM capacities, we need a 64-bit processor. Okay, so that's what it is. The 64-bit, one of the advantages, so we can run complex applications because complex applications require more RAM capacity. The more RAM capacity should be given by only 64-bit processor. Okay, is compared to 32-bit. Another one is from 64-bit processor, you can get a virtualization technologies. When I was seeing a 32-bit, I can run virtual machines, that is 32-bit based virtual machines only. That is also very lesser part only. Okay, and a real virtualization is not came into that part. But this is processor itself supporting in the 64-bit, the processor itself supporting so virtualization technologies. So you can able to create different virtual machines. You can work with the Docker kind of stuff. Some people like you, sir, I want to install a Docker, but your system has to be support virtualization because Docker itself is a works with a virtualization concept. It is okay. You want to run virtual machines. You want to create and run virtual machines in your system, or you want to run this Docker engine kind of stuff. The virtualization technology is required by default 64-bit, not by default. There is certain 64-bit processor supporting it. Almost all recent 64-bit processors are with the Intel virtualization technology. Older 64s also don't have virtualization technology built inside. Okay, so that is 32-bit and 64-bit guys. Instructions and data size in 32-bit type of processor is always process 32-bit instructions, 32-bit data. 64-bit processor can able to process 64-bit process instructions and 64-bit data. The 64-bit instructions and data means it's a bigger application. The bigger application require bigger RAM capacity. Bigger RAM capacity required, you need a 64-bit processor. Okay, that's the point. The next point is whatever it is, 64 or 32-bit. Now you want to install an application in your system. You want to install an application in your system. Okay, check it. So is it compatible or not? Application you want to install. So make sure that both application and your operating system and your system means your processor must better to maintain same architecture. For example, my processor is 32-bit processor. I must use 32-bit operating system only. If you install 64-bit operating system, it cannot process. If you install 32-bit drivers inside, it cannot process. Sorry, you must use on 64-bit processor, 64-bit operating system, 64-bit processor, 64-bit operating system, 64-bit drivers, 64-bit applications. Okay, if you are using 32-bit processor, 32-bit operating system, 32-bit drivers, 32-bit applications only. Okay, so sometimes applications can be lower bit, like on that 64-bit processor and 64-bit system, you can use 32-bit application, but the operating system should support 32-bit application to run with some background requirement, like on Windows it is WoW 64 to run 32-bit application on 64-bit machine. If it is a Windows, you need WoW 64 additional package, so then it can able to run. Okay, by default Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11, the built-in WoW 64 is there, so we can able to run. If you are using Windows Vista, Windows XP kind of stuff, you cannot run. Okay. Yeah. Point is, guys, you have a 64-bit machine and you have to use 64-bit operating system, 64-bit drivers, 64-bit application. It is a straightforward. Okay. It is a very straight line compatibility. Okay. If you have a 32-bit processor, 32-bit operating system, 32-bit drivers, 32-bit application. Very straight line, right? So if you want to install 32-bit operating system, or you want to install a 32-bit drivers, or maybe 32-bit application or 64-bit application, how you know the application or a drivers or operating system is 32-bit or 64-bit? In generally, on that operating system or application or drivers, it indicates what bit it is in different formats. For example, I download an application. Is 32-bit or 64-bit? If it is a 32-bit, it indicates like this. Okay, application name 32-bit. On the application name, you can see 32-bit name or x86 or i386, i586. All these on the name indicates it is 32-bit. x86 represent Intel. x86 represent Intel, and Intel is produced 32-bit for a longer period of time. That's why when you see x86, people think automatically it is 32-bit. Okay. If in case 64-bit, you download some operating system or an application, and it is 64-bit. How you'll understand it is 64-bit? On the name, it shows 64-bit. Or x86 underscore 64-bit means Intel 64 it is. x64 also represent Intel 64. The short. AMD 64, AMD type of processor, because AMD 32 bits are very less. AMD most of the processor, okay, even for Intel comes with the 64 in the market use. The AMD came to the market with the 64 bit. Okay, that's why it's AMD 64. It's AMD compatible 64-bit. Win64, it's like a Windows 64. Okay, so some places it shows like this. x86 underscore 64, x64, both are represent Intel. Okay, so guys, when you see an application, when you see an operating system, or when you download and drivers, 32-bit or 64, by the name itself, we can understand the names are indicate in a different way. Understand, guys? Up to here, 32-bit, 64-bit.
Yes, sir.
So next one is on the processor, there is a heat sink. On processor, there is a heat sink. If you see on the motherboard, there is a processor on the motherboard socket. We insert on the processor itself. We are going to insert a on the processors having a on the motherboard. Sorry, on the motherboard, there is a processor socket is there. Okay, so we have to insert our processor on the motherboard in this socket. Okay, on the top of the processor, we have to apply a heatsink paste. On the processor, we have to apply a heatsink paste. Okay, we have to apply a heatsink paste. What is the use of this heatsink paste? I will. On top of it, so there is a heatsink. On the heatsink, there is a heatsink fan. There is a heatsink fan like this. This is the processor. Heatsink paste should be applied like this completely. On top of it, there is a heatsink. On top of heatsink, there is a fan. So what is the purpose of all these things? Your processor, while running, the processor is getting heated. Processor will get heat when it is running. The heat sometimes very high. There is no controllable heat. It is when processor is running, that it is more heat will be generated. The overheat is causes processor damage. What happened? Processor is getting heated. The overheated, if it is overheated, it is damaged. The cost of processor is higher than rest of your system components. The processor cost is always higher. And processor is very important component. Without processor, that is not a system. It is you have to throw it side. Okay. So that's why you have to protect your processor not from overheating and damage. How to do it? By using these heat sinks. So what happened? The processor is getting heated. The heat will be absorbed by this heat sink. The processor heat is absorbed by this heat sink. The heat sink has fins, means the gaps are there like this. Okay, there is a gaps. What is happened with these gaps? The air will be flow through these gaps and make your heat sink cooler. Okay, what happened? The air flow in these gaps or fins. What we say it is, so that it will cools this heat sink. So what happening? The process is getting heated. The heat is absorbed by the heat sink and it is getting cooled by the airflow. Okay, so then the process temperature is always constant. It's not go for a overheated. It not go for a overheated. And what is the purpose of this heat sink paste or thermal paste? It give more better contact. It cool down your processor. It helps to cool down your processor and it gives more contact to the heat sink. So it means the more heat it can be able to distribute to the heat sink. Heat sink will be heated and it is get cooled by this exhaust fan, the outside heat sink fan or CPU fan it is. Okay, so that is what this assembly means. This is true for a desktop. This is for laptops. If you see, this is a copper plate. Under this copper plate, processor is there. Processor, heatsink placed, and this copper plate. And heat will be go to this copper plate and it passes through this copper rod. See, the copper rod goes like this. And this fan will blow the air to outside. So then the copper rod will get cooled. Okay, the heat will be go out and it will getting cooled and it is maintain the temperature. Don't put some ice and or ice cream kind of stuff to cool down your processor, guys. Only this is the method. Okay. So, and if you see here is a dust on this fan, or if you have a dust on this heat sinks, what it will happen if dust on this heat sink or a heat sink fan, what happen? The heat cannot able to escape. Heat sink is getting heated, but it is not cooling down. So what happened? CPU is getting overheated again. The purpose of heat sink is to cool down it, but heat sink is not cooling down. Okay, purpose of heat sink is to cool down your processor, maintain the constant temperature. But your heat sink is not getting cooled down. Then how processor is getting cool? And processor is getting overheated. If processor is getting overheated, processor will damage. Okay, to prevent that, what happened? The system will restart itself. To prevent from the damage or burn of your processor, the system will restart itself. Like you power on your system, system is on and then restart. System is on and restart. You log in, restart. You open some application, restart. Okay, anytime, either in a starting time or maybe after 5 minutes or maybe while working, it automatically restart. So one of the reason is processor is getting overheated. Processor is getting overheated. Why processor is getting overheated? Either it is dust on the heat sink fans, or fan is not running. Heat sink paste is removed. Heat sink paste is applied. Once you applied, it will be there for 5-6 years. No problem at all. Until unless someone cleaned it. Are heat sink paste is gone or cleaned. Or heat sink is not installed properly. Not installed properly. Even it, we have seen that a kind of thing. So when we were there is a system in our previous office, so it is near to the window, okay, and it is not having the closer also. So what happened? The entire dust is went inside and put full dust formation on the heat sink. One of our students is open the system running. After 5 minutes, he opens some application, restart. Again restart, again restart. So I got a doubt, it is application related or operating system related. But I want to check once about a processor that I open the system and see there is a full of test. So what I have done, I take a small brush, like this type of bristles on, like a paint kind of brush only with this. It is little smaller than this big brush, okay, like a 1 inch, half-inch type of brush it is. So I cleaned with the brush. So I remove the dust and I checked it again. So now it is running and issue is resolved. Okay. So your system is getting restart itself without throwing any errors. So one of the reason is CPU is getting overheated. If CPU is getting overheated is maybe because of the heating paste or heat sink or fan not working properly, not installed properly, okay, not there properly. So check the heat sink paste or clean the heat sink paste and apply the new paste. Install your heat sink properly, make sure our legs are connected properly and make sure your fan is running properly. Another one is in case of dust, clean the dust properly. Okay, so that is about your heat sink. Guys, understand up to here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we discussed about the basic components and CPU, and there is a RAM is also there. Just relax for 5 minutes only. Okay, just relax for 5 minutes. Otherwise, it is become one single story.